Caucus vote taking the podium.
Endorsed me a couple of weeks ago, and something happened because I have to admit I didn't know a whole lot about her. But I do know that our supporters were so enthusiastic about it, they went up and bumped up her sales of her records by 600%. So it is a great pleasure to be here to talk to young people, because our campaign has been known to being a great appeal to the young people. And a lot of times people ask me that. I don't know the exact reason for it. But for one thing, I do talk to a lot of young people. I ask them, why are you enthusiastic about the campaign? One of the most common answers that I get is that I endorse the Constitution and defend the Constitution constantly in Washington, and that's
Dude, get off my stuff.
To
lay over there. Get on the bed. Get off my stuff.
Also, young people like individuals who will stick to principles. And in Washington, sometimes the two parties mesh together, and there's not too many times that and it's not too infrequent, that I feel obligated to vote by myself, which means that I'm sticking to that principle, and when they see that, they say that he won't go back and forth, but he'll always stick to principle. But there are some other issues that are very important to young people that I find they recite to me when I talk to them. One thing is it seems like it's inherent in young people that we have a government and we have a president that is very cautious about going to war. There's no reason in the world that we cannot be strict constitutionalists, strong national defense, and say that we should not send young people off to war unless it's absolutely necessary, and necessary for our national security, and a declaration of this war is made. Make the declaration, fight the war, win it, and get it over, and come home. In the last 10 years, we have been fighting endless wars in the Middle East. We're in 135 countries. We have 900 bases around the world, and we're flat out broke. And the country knows it, the world knows it, that we're in a financial crisis, and that's what you're inheriting. But just in the last 10 years, yours and my national debt has gone up $4 trillion because of those expenditures. Now, if we thought it was necessary to fight these wars for our national defense, that would be worth considering. But it really isn't. Some of these wars are fought for who knows what reasons. We go in. Sometimes we don't even go in with permission of the Congress. This president currently has gone into countries by getting permission from the United Nations and NATO. He should only get permission from the American people through a vote of the Congress. But another issue that young people bring to my attention when I ask them why they're interested in what I'm doing is because I emphasize very much the nature of money. Money is a very important issue, because if you can destroy the money, you can destroy the economy, and that's what we have been doing. The founders knew something about that. The founders understood something about this because we had runaway inflation at the beginning of the Constitutional Convention by that time. So they said in the Constitution that only gold and silver could be legal tender. There shouldn't be a central bank. There shouldn't be a Federal Reserve System, and you're not allowed to print money. But for over 100 years, we have rejected that notion. We print the money. The value of the money goes down, and your prices go up. So if you're thinking about college, all you have to do is look back over the last 10 or 20 years, and the cost of education has skyrocketed. That isn't because education cost goes up. That's because of the value of the money that goes down. And young people know this. They're studying. They're looking at Austrian economics, and they're looking at the Federal Reserve System, because it is the business cycle that can be explained by understanding monetary policy and the Federal Reserve. Economic liberty is very important, and you come to the conclusion that economic liberty is important because individual liberty is important. In our founding, Jefferson stated very clearly that our lives and our lives are gifts from our God, and therefore your income, the fruits of your labor, should be yours and not the government's to spend. So we were given a country, and it was a great country and great prosperity. It was the richest country, the largest middle class in the world. But today we have drifted from that because we're living off debt, we do too much overseas, and we run a welfare state here at home. But that is coming to an end. That is what the society is telling us today because of the financial crisis. But if you understand one issue, you can understand foreign policy, you can understand economic policy if you understand the principle of individual liberty. The purpose of the Constitution is to restrain the federal government, not to restrain you as an individual. Personal liberty means a lot. Personal liberty, if you understand it, it means you have a right to your life, and you have a right to your fruits of your labor. You both have economic and social liberty. As long as one does not hurt another individual, you can run your life as you so choose, but you have to be responsible. The founders of this country warned us that they gave us a republic, and it won't work unless we are a moral society and assume responsibility for ourselves. And this is where I think we have failed. For a couple generations, we have failed because we have said, the government can take care of us. And they never wanted to ask the question, who's the government? The government is us. And now we don't have the jobs, we don't have the income, we don't have the prosperity. We've had 30 million new people in our country over the last 10 years and no new jobs. So this is what you're facing. This is why the debt is $1.5 trillion every year. We owe $15 trillion. In our national debt, we owe $3 trillion to foreigners, the biggest debt in the history of the world. So this is why we have to look for a change. And the change is not complicated. The change is just restoring those principles that made America great. That is understanding what liberty is, what it means to mind our own business overseas, to let the people live their lives as they so choose, and let the economy work without the government regulating the economy. We had the prosperity, but now the middle class, as it shrinks, guess what? The lobbyists run Washington. The lobbyists can go to Washington. The rich get bailed out. The rich corporations, the banks, when the crisis hit 4 years ago, they got the bailouts. And all the bad debt and the mistakes they got bought up by the Federal Reserve and by Treasury, and it was dumped on the people. And that debt put on the people means the economy can't recover until we solve that problem. But we can find our answers in the Constitution. We can find that answer in the principles of liberty. And with the great experiment that we have and the great success in the last 100 years, it's been challenged. So your challenge will be, you want to live in a free society? You want to live in a prosperous society? Are you going to think about the materialism of a free society? No. You have to think about the principles of liberty. If you have a free society and property rights and sound money, believe me, the prosperity will come. If you concentrate on the materialism and the redistribution of wealth and the influence of special interests, believe me, we can't get out of this mess. So you have to have an understanding and belief and a conviction about what true liberty is all about. It was a grand experiment. It was the best experiment in the history of the world. Most of the world has lived under tyranny, both in the past and today. And even today, we're moving in the direction of less personal freedom. Each and every day we have things passed like the Patriot Act, which means that your privacy is no longer protected. There are plans now to regulate and control and monitor and regulate to an nth degree your websites and your and the web pages, and for the federal government to come in and take away the privacy of the internet. Believe me, the internet is very, very valuable. If you lose the privacy of the internet, you have lost a big hunk of your freedom. And that move is on and something you need to look at and pay attention to. So with all the problems we have around the world, the perpetual war, the spending and the debt and the inflation and the monetary system, believe me, it's not difficult to solve the problems. All we need are people that believe in the Constitution, are energized by the principles of liberty, and are willing to say that it is not our business to solve all the problems of the world and get involved in all these conflicts in the world. We need to make our nation a great nation once again. If we want to influence the rest of the world, we should do that by setting a great standard of individual liberty, a standard of prosperity and sound money, and a foreign policy where we mind our own business. when we have that greatness, we won't have to try to force it down the throats of others by bombing and invading those countries. They will want to be like us because we are a great nation. We have the prosperity. I am encouraged, especially because I have so many young people supporting this cause and because there's so much activity and interest. So we see this as a real opportunity. This campaign and what's coming up tonight and in the next several months is a wonderful opportunity to restate our sound principles about why this country had been great and what we need to restore peace, prosperity, and liberty to all of us. Thank you very much.